Good morning. Our hand today is going to be King Queen. This is also a more recent hand. So in this hand we have under the gun +1, early position player, open raises to 2.8, big blinds, and it folds to the cutoff, who calls, and it's on me. Villain 8 is playing 32-8 over 64 hands. He's looking to be more limp-like. However, when we look at his stats, so the large gap between VPIP and pre-flop raise suggests that he's playing a lot of hands, and he is. He's playing 50% from the small blind, 43% or almost 50% from the big blind, and he's playing about 30% in the other positions. However, cutoff's only playing 11%. When we look at his raise first in stat, it's 2 out of 11, 2 out of 10, and then 0 out of 5, 1 out of 2, 0 out of 2. There is some limping, there's some raising, but I think the numbers, that 32-8's really being washed out by the small blind and the big blind. It's really, clouding things up a little bit in terms of how aggressive he's going to be. Now, in this early position, it does say raise first since 18%. That's probably too wide. So I'm going to say like 11% here based on his 8% pre-flop raise. I think he's going to be tighter in this spot. I think 11% is pretty decent. Suited A's, suited broadways, some pocket pairs, maybe sevens and higher, ace jack off, plus king queen offsuit, and so forth. I think the hardest one that I have is this villain. We have 71 hands. He's playing 27-13, so he does seem to be also on looser side, but is able to raise and 3-bet a little bit more. Unfortunately, we don't have many hands at all in the cutoff. He's played 2 out of 8, so 25% total. He's come in for a raise 2 out of 7 times, and he's 3-bet once. So he really hasn't ever called, 2-bet. He's called 2-bets early position and mid position, but not really from cutoff or button. So I think for this, he's probably playing pocket pairs. He's probably got suited aces, maybe some of these broadways, and maybe some of these are 3-bets. And then I think probably suited connectors and maybe suited one gappers. Maybe we'll look at throwing a king 9 and queen 9. I think that's kind of hard. So now it's on us. Now, if we look, we are up against 2 opponents. This would be a good spot to squeeze. We don't know anything about their fold to 3-bet stat. I think if this hand came up today, I'd probably definitely try to squeeze just to see what's going on. Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit worried about this 32-8, but again, as I said, I think there's a lot. He's played a lot from the blinds, and I think that's really elevating his VPIP relative to all the other stuff. We get rid of the blinds, you could kind of see that he is playing much more tight aggressive. So I think I'd be curious if I 3-bet here, would he fold? I think there's high pressure on him to fold because villain 4 could also come along, and if I get called, hey, I'm in position with king queen. This is my 3-bet or fold or 3-bet call range. King queen's in there. It's kind of at the top of our range. Calling is also okay. So in this hand, I think I called instead of 3-bet. But again, I think, if I played this today, good chance I probably just go ahead and 3-bet just to see what's going on. Especially since I haven't 3-bet yet. 82 hands haven't had a 3-bet, 0 out of 34, so might as well just try to go for it. So I just called, and we see a flop of king 10-4, and that's actually not too bad. I think we're going to have to think about, what do we do if someone bets? Are we going to be raising this? Are we going to be going just for the call? I think our plan with this is that we are in position. We do hit top pair, which and 2 kings are accounted for, which is really going to minimize what kind of hands other players have. We have draws. We can pick up a jack to give us an open ender. An ace gives us a gut shot. I think hearts are going to be the most concerning. So I think if someone bets here, I think our play would be to go ahead and raise that C bet. I think hearts are going to be calling, so we're going to be raising for value. We're going to be raising to try to get the initiative. Obviously, we don't really want a hand like ace queen or ace jack to necessarily call, because if an ace comes, that they catch, they're going to realize their equity. Usually, if a queen comes, no, I think ace, really with ace queen ace jack, we're worried about that ace. That's about it. But also we don't have hearts, so I don't think if we had a heart, if we had a queen of hearts, we could probably justify calling this, because we have not only the backdoor straight, but we also have the backdoor flush draw. But again, I kind of feel like raising would be the play. So yeah, pot's 9.8, villain 8 makes a c bet 2.4. So actually a pretty small c-bet size. And for his c-bet stats, we have 100% when he's out of position, 2 out of 2. I am guessing, since he's playing such strong ranges, and this board should hit his range quite well, that he's probably c-betting 100% here. Villain 4 folds. I kind of expect villain 4 to call all his top pair, probably his middle pair too. He could probably give up his pocket pair below the second card, but then also calling with flush draw, open ender, and gut shot. So knowing that he folded, we can eliminate, hearts. There's more hearts out there. More hearts. So now it's on us. What do we do? I think when we look at our range here, I know a lot of people like to raise with the heart draws, and I think that's pretty obvious. I think with the heart draw, if we just call and then he checks or bets small again, we can then come in for a big raise on the turn to kind of represent that, hey, we've got a hand, and kind of get him to fold at that point. If a heart comes out and we catch our flush, and this assumes that we have hearts, if he bets small again, I think we just kind of go ahead and continue calling. If he sizes up and we have, let's say, the nut flush, kind of suggests to me then that he would have maybe like a queen of hearts or jack of hearts, that he picked up equity. And I think at that point, we kind of think about, maybe making a smallish raise for value. We're hoping that he has a hand that could call with. But if he does like another real small bet, I think that's just a sign that he doesn't have hearts. We're probably not going to get paid off at all. So we probably just have to call and hope he bets the river. And if he doesn't, then we bet. And instead of betting big, I think we kind of bet on the smaller side just to try to entice a call. So, if that's kind of how we handle hearts, and that's probably how we handle straights, I think then we could raise with sets and 2 pair, top pair. I think jacks, middle pair, those are all vulnerable. I don't think I'm going to be raising pocket pair below the second cards. So any of the 9s to 5s. I think those might go into our calling range. I think those might go into our calling range. And yeah, if we have the heart, if we have the flush draw, are we going to raise? I don't think so. I'm just trying to think if we have a pair. I guess we could have like middle pair with flush draws. It's like 10-9 of hearts, jack 10 of hearts, queen 10 of hearts, ace 10 of hearts. Those types of things. And I think we probably just call with those. We couldn't have top pair with a heart. So I kind of think that's what our raising range would be. And you could see top pair king queens in there. I think we should be raising. How much should we raise? I think we should probably raise up to about seven big blinds. About 3 times the bet. I didn't, I just called. So let's get our calling range here. So we would have flush draw, open ender. I think our gut shot. I don't think we would call with a 2-card backdoor flush draw. I think that's really speculative. I think we're calling pocket pair less than the second card. It's kind of a little bit for value. And we're going to probably play those as kind of a bluff. I'm not opposed to just folding those two, and maybe that's what we do on this board since he has kind of that range covered. Yeah, I think we're just calling like flush draws, open enders, gut shots, and that's about it. And our 2-card backdoor flush draw, if we call, we're gonna be calling those with like well, queen jack's already there, so, and king jack, ace jack. I think clubs could call that. I think that's probably it. Just the ace jack club. So like 16% that we're calling. So I think we missed a raise there. All right, jack of diamonds comes out. And this is kind of why we wanted to raise. Yeah, we improve our hand. We kind of get to open ender. But now any ace queen beats us. And I think if we raise, we get the ace queen out. And even if he calls, he's calling it with such long odds. I mean, he's just incorrectly calling at that point. So jack of diamonds comes out. What happens now? Villain sizes up to 10.8 into a 14.6 pot. I don't think he's doing that as a bluff. I think he's got top pair. Maybe a flush draw. I think if he has a flush draw, it's going to be part of his pair. And I think that's part of what our open ender will be. Top pair plus over pair. I think I can't imagine him bluffing. And now c-betting again, 1 out of 1. He's gonna have pretty strong hand. I mean, that's 64%. So that's a raise, and now it's on us. What do we do? All right, so we improved it to, if we had a jack, we improved to 2 pair. Sizing up, if we raised, what do we think he's going to do? Is he going to call us? So I think we're gonna be raising with 2 pair. I think we're gonna raise for value. So really, we would have so many hearts. Maybe we don't raise all of them. Queen jack, queen 10. I don't think we're raising those. Really just 2 pair. 2 pair and just those flush draws. We're gonna have twice as many of these flush draws because we've got queen jack queen 10 versus our 2 pair, which is just jack 10, just jack 10 of hearts. which kind of makes me think that we're probably not going to be raising at all. That I think our play, since we don't really have a whole lot, I think our play is to call. We call with top pair. We call with we call with this 2 pair. We call with our flush draw. We call with probably the open ender. These open enders. I don't think we call gut shots at all. So I think we're calling. We've got a lot of draws here. 2 pair. And then if he checks the river, I think then we fire all of these hands that miss our draws. So what do? I called it. So I do think we got this call correct. And then river's the 9 of diamonds. And villain bets again. Now he bets like big. And the question is, what would he do that with? So we have the straight. We have one of the queens locked up. There's only 3 queens out. We've got a king locked up. Maybe he had jacks and hit trip jacks. Maybe he has that. I mean, would he bet it? Would he bet that big with a straight? Would he have sized up with the straight? I think it's less likely because well, yeah, but would he bet that large again on the river? I don't think so. Maybe he could. I think he could have all these. I think top pair is probably the least likely now. I think over pair is definitely a possibility with aces. I think 2 pair. I think the 2 pair, king jack would be most likely. Jack 10 could be there. The sets probably not kings or tens, so I'd say jacks. I think the hands that kind of hit that jack is what's making me think that he has something. And I'm not even full into the straights. I think that jack helped him in some way. I don't necessarily think it was a straight. I'm not sure why he would have raised that high, but when he sized up when that jack came, it makes me think he had it. Now he could have had ace jack and is being too aggressive with his hand, but we now have the straight. I don't think we can fold this. I think we're calling the straight. I don't think we could call middle pair weak aces or anything, and 2 pair is going to be speculative. You'd hate to fold 2 pair, but I think that's probably what we're going to have to do. We're going to call straights. We're going to call 2 pair, and if he shows the sets, he shows the set. I think this bet's a bet to try to get us to fold most of the hands, or he's confident that he has 2 pair beat maybe. So that's why I think 2 pairs probably just it's a tough fold, but I just kind of have a feeling that he's going to show up here with 2 pair. So I'm glad I called. Could I have raised? Yeah, ace queen's out there, and I think that I probably missed some value. I think I could have raised here now that we hit. And I think if we raised, I think we just raise them all in. He's gonna probably call. I mean, he'll call the straights. We're losing to ace queen, but I think he would probably call his sets in 2 pair. I think that's the kind of player that he is. So yeah, we've got some showdown value hanging. We don't have the nuts, but I think this could be a spot where we could really pick up some. Thinking it through, thinking how he sized it up, I think this is a spot where we should raise on the river and go for max value. We probably get max value. So I called villain shows 10. Surprise! I thought it was jacks, more likely to have jacks. He actually had 10, so that's kind of shocking. He bet small when he connected with the 10, and then sized up when that jack came out. probably because he was worried about the straight and the flush, and then he fired out big. So we had sets in his range here, kings, jacks, tens. I just kind of took it out because I felt like the jack was going to be a big improvement to his hand, when in fact I think the jack was what he viewed was an improvement to my hand, and thus he sized up thinking I was going to be able to get away from any hand. Now, knowing what he has, if I raise the flop, which I think I should have, if he comes over the top, I think we just fold. If he calls the flop and we get the jack, we're going to bet. I think we probably bet again because we improved our equity. If he check raises the turn, I think we fold, which we give up equity. Just kind of depends on what kind of pot odds. My guess is we wouldn't be getting the pot odds to draw to that straight. And I think that's kind of why it's like, well, maybe we should check behind on the turn. And perhaps that's what we do. We check behind on the turn because we don't want to, since he called on the flop, we don't want to bet, get raised off our hand. And then with the 9, if he leads into us, we're definitely raised. If he checks, we're going to be betting. We're going to be betting fairly large and hope we get called. All right, hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, look tomorrow for another hand.